Once upon a time, in a bustling town, stood a grand house with 4 flats. Each flat had its own story, its own unique family, and dreams of a bright future. 2 families moved into the first 2 flats, full of hope and excitement. They had everything: stable jobs, healthy children, and dreams for the future. On the other side of the house, 2 bachelors took up residence in the remaining flats. They, too, were full of ambition and life, eager to make the most of their opportunities. But as days turned into weeks, something began to change. Slowly at first, then all at once. The families that had settled in so happily began to notice strange occurrences. Jobs that seemed so secure suddenly slipped away. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't keep their income steady. Bills piled up, and the money they once had disappeared into thin air. They could no longer explain their misfortune. The bachelors, too, faced a similar fate. They went from one job to another, but nothing stuck. Opportunities would appear, only to slip through their fingers. No matter how hard they worked or how much they hustled, their lives didn't seem to move forward. The children in the families were always ill, underperforming in school, and their futures seemed bleak. It was as if a dark cloud had descended on them. The rent for the flats had expired, and they couldn't afford to renew it. Each day felt like a struggle just to survive. They found themselves jumping from one unreasonable job to the next, just to make ends meet. Despite their efforts, they couldn't catch a break. What made things worse was that there was no help to be found. Friends who once promised to lend a hand now kept their distance. Family members who had supported them in the past were no longer there. They were completely isolated, left to face their hardships alone. The loneliness grew with each passing day, and the burden seemed too much to bear. One night, after a year of struggling and wondering why their lives had taken such a sudden downturn, one of the tenants finally spoke up. "Is it just me, or is something wrong with this place?" Another tenant responded, "You won't believe it, but it's happening to me, too. My job, my health, everything. It's all falling apart." That's when they all realized the terrible truth. The 4 families, each in their own way, had been suffering. But none of them had thought to discuss it. They were all going through the same thing, each believing they were isolated in their misery. But now, they knew. It was not just their individual struggles. There was something far darker at play. As they sat together, talking in disbelief, they realized that it wasn't just their building. The entire street was affected. People who lived nearby, sitting idly, doing nothing but gossiping and wasting their days, were unaffected by the struggles that plagued those who worked hard. No matter how much effort the tenants put in. It felt as if the entire universe was working against them. And as they spoke, they noticed something even stranger: people who opened shops on the street never saw success. Their businesses would fail before they could even begin. What was happening? Was it the building? Was it the street? Was there something more sinister, something hidden within the very land they lived upon? Subscribe, like and share.